Welcome back to the Legal Paige podcast. Today's episode is all about custom contracts versus template contracts. Because the thing is, there's a huge difference between the two. Custom contracts are obviously custom made just for your business and your services. And template ones are ones that a variety of different business owners can use that are in kind of the same boat as you, but it's going to have still all the same language that you need. So I want to lay this all out for you because one thing that I have said before is that contract templates are really worth it and are incredibly valuable here at TLP. My legal team and I pour our hearts and souls and expertise into every contract template that we create and offer on our website. We also do a variety of things that puts, I think, our contract templates above the rest. And we are also very tapped into the market of being an online business owner and the specific challenges that come with small business ownership. And not just for online businesses, for really any small business owner as well. We have lots of like brick and mortar contract templates in our shop as well. But being a lawyer, I also know when you need to level up and when you probably are actually better served by spending the extra money to get a custom contract. So I really wanted to dive into that topic here in today's episode. Let's talk about the difference between custom contracts and template contracts.
You're listening to the Legal Paige podcast, where we chat about life and business with a legal twist. I'm Paige, attorney and photographer helping online businesses and creatives tackle their business dreams without breaking out in hives. No more legal mumbo jumbo. This podcast features simple, bite-sized advice that'll have you legally legit in no time. Are you ready? Let's get started. As a reminder, before we get into this episode, I am legally obligated to give my disclaimer. So I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney. All legal information I talk about on this episode is intended for the masses and a large variety of different businesses. I am only your attorney when you hire me and we sign an engagement letter for me to work specifically on your legal issues. Please feel free to seek out another attorney in your hometown if you need specific legal advice or contact me for more information. Alrighty, here's the episode, friends.
Hey, everyone. Again, thanks for listening today. As I talked about in my intro, we are going to go over custom contracts versus template contracts today and how to decide which one you actually need for your particular purpose. Or, when you have a contract template that you probably need to level up and get a little bit more customized to your business. So, first things first, what is a template contract? A template contract is a contract that you get online. Please get it from a verified attorney. Please don't purchase it from someone that is just selling template contracts. They do not have malpractice insurance. They do not have any legal backing for that template contract. They did not go to school for it, and they shouldn't be selling the contract template, to be very frank with you, because that is the unauthorized practice of the law. So do not get a template contract from anyone other than an attorney, okay? Just promise me that if you do anything. I don't even care if you don't get it from me. Just go get it. There's tons of other virtual, amazing creative attorneys out there that have online contract shops that you can buy template contracts from. And these template contracts are there to serve you for your particular purpose or services or products that you're offering. They're there to have all of the necessary clauses that you need to have for that particular service that you're providing to your clients. And they usually walk you through how to use the template contract. So I think template contracts are really awesome for new business owners or people who just honestly want a quick and easy way to start adding different contracts to their legal toolkit and also don't want to pay the price of having an attorney do it for you. So our template contracts in our shop, we have information at the top. We have disclaimers at the top. We have additional notes at the top, all in red when you download our template contracts. That's the start of the contract. And then it gets into the meat of the contract. We have bracketed yellow information that's highlighted that you would need to input and change according to your business practices. And then I put in comments upon comments in all of our template contracts on the side from myself and my legal team. And we make sure to literally handhold you through using the contract. So it's like if you do this, then make sure this clause states this. Or if you need to modify because you do this for your business policies, this is what I would suggest you change and tweak here. Or sometimes we even have 2 or 3 options for a clause in a template contract because a variety of business owners do it differently in primarily 2 to 3 different ways. And so we give you those options and then we say, choose one, delete the other 2. And all of this in a template contract is literally worth thousands of dollars. It's not only worth it because you have a lawyer drafting it for you and you're not just like willy-nilly getting a contract from like a colleague or downloading it off Google and trying to put it together for you, but a template contract, has been reviewed at least by industry professionals as well. Our TLP contracts have been reviewed by industry professionals, which means I will draft them, my team and I, and then we send it out to at least 3 industry professionals. I have lots of friends in the online world. And so I will specifically ask people primarily that have lots of expertise in the area. So if it's like a wedding planner contract or an associate wedding planner contract, I'm going to go literally seek out people who have had associates on their team and be like, hey, do you want to review this contract for me? Of course, I'm going to give them access to it for all of their time and energy and expertise helping me critique it. But I also get their eyes on it and get their experience actually being in the trenches with hiring an associate wedding planner. And so then we can tweak and modify the contract. So you always are going to get a template contract here at the TLP shop that it's so in depth. Like the things that you will find in our contracts are not things that you can just get out there, on Google. So I think template contracts are very helpful. They're a little bit more, I would say, simplistic than a custom contract. And here's why. A custom contract, lawyers will build you a custom contract based upon templates that they have. Yes, lawyers use templates too. So they've probably had background and experience in at least creating somewhat of the type of contract that you want. And then they're going to literally ask you every nuanced question about your business and your policies and things that have happened in your past and what if scenarios. And we literally think from your perspective and your clients that are going to be signing your contract, what if this happened? What if this happened? How do we accurately address that in legal language in a custom contract? And so your custom contract is going to have things related to your business that template contracts wouldn't have. For example, this is a really good one. I just worked on a contract through my law firm. That's where we work on custom contracts. It's separate from the legal page. I'll talk about that here in a second. But we had someone who kind of had a template contract. I think it was, from TLP, but also they had put in a bunch of other clauses as well that they may have gotten from other online attorneys, or they wrote up their own clauses and put them in the contract. And they were at a point where they're like, we've had a lot of issues and it's really time for me to level up this contract. Can you review it and modify it? So that's still a custom contract type of situation versus starting from scratch. You can do either or. You can have a template contract and review and modify it, or you can just start from scratch for a custom contract. Lawyers can do both for you. But in this particular instance, it was really interesting because they were a photographer in Hawaii and they had a lot of things regarding their services. They did drone footage. They did, photos in the water and at sunset and sunrise, and they only shot during those times of day. They only shot on the beach. They had very specific locations that they would be shooting on the beach at. They had gowns included in their packages. I mean, there were so many things nuanced. Of course, they, maybe upsold. They only, a package came with only so many images, and then they upsold. They also sold products additionally to their clients. So there was a lot involved here. There was like, a little bit of IPS sales. There was a lot of like certain, scenarios and risks associated with being in the water, being on the beach, being in the sun, shooting at different times of the day. Also, they're in Hawaii. So primarily it's destination photography. So all of their clients are coming from the States or honestly from anywhere in the world to Hawaii and booking them. So cancellations and reschedulings are having to deal with, people flying in and out. Of course, the pandemic impacted that. So you hopefully you're catching my drift here. Like at this point, yeah, this particular client needed a custom contract and needed me and my legal team to draft one specifically for them. And I think, once we finish, that contract is so freaking solid now, and it's going to serve them so much better than a template contract. So those are kind of like, that's the big difference that I would say is, if you're just shooting like basic portrait photography, you don't have a lot of risks associated with it. You're just going to like local areas in your region that are like public parks or public spaces, and you're shooting there. And you're just not too concerned with, it's mainly local clients that you're shooting. All of that's going to be covered in a template contract. And I don't think you need a custom contract. But when you start getting into the nuances of like your services and how different they are from like a generic photographer, I would say, then you'd probably need a custom contract, or you at least need an attorney to review the template contract that you have and just tweak it a little bit to make sure that it's specific to your services. Now, fees are a big one too. Like template contracts, usually for attorneys online are anywhere from, I would say, $300 to like $600. Our template contracts for full length contracts range in the $400 range. So usually like $447 to $497. And we just price accordingly depending on like the length of the contract. But that is what you're going to see across the board. If you have an attorney you're looking at buying a contract for that is selling anything under like a full length contract, probably under $200 or $250, I would raise an eyebrow about that and kind of wonder like, why is it so inexpensive? Because maybe they just don't have the experience. Maybe they're just starting out. And so I'd just be cautious of that. But, if budget is a key factor for you, I understand, like, at least it's a template contract. At least you have a freaking contract to begin with. But most of us that have been in the industry for a while, just being very blunt and frankly speaking here, we all kind of charge around the same price. And for a very particular purpose, a lot of us include lifetime updates with our contracts. So I believe that contracts are living documents. And we have all kinds of scenarios pop up where we need to tweak clauses in our contract. And I tweak clauses and contracts all the time, like weekly. And so we are getting out new updates to contracts, and those are included with the price of you purchasing on the TLP, shop online. So I think that's kind of an invaluable, like added benefit to getting a contract that may be a little bit like higher priced, but just make sure you can see everything that's included in that. So, that's the fee for like a template contract. I'm going to say like $500 and under is probably what you're going to be spending for one single contract. Remember, you probably need multiple contracts to add into your legal toolkit. I have a whole podcast episode about that. You guys can go back into the vault and look at it. But the main client contract here is what I'm trying to talk to you about. Now, fees associated with custom contracts can vary. It depends wildly on whether the law firm that you're booking with is going to charge an hourly rate or a flat fee rate. Be careful of hourly rate attorneys because they can get very expensive very fast. It's okay if you hire an hourly rate attorney. Just be aware that you're probably going to be paying anywhere from about $200 to $400 per hour is what I would say is kind of like a really good number. Some might charge a little bit under $200 an hour, but I want to make sure that when you guys sign whatever like agreement to sign on with their law firm with, whether that's an engagement letter, whether that's a limited scope agreement, whether that's a retainer of services agreement, make sure that they have a maximum amount that they can bill you prior to them having to notify you to go above and beyond those hours that are maximized. So I would just really push on them. My budget is, I don't know, say $2,500 and they're charging $250 an hour. You want them to put in their actual contract with you that you are agreeing to no more than 10 hours of work for your project. And if they go above and beyond that, they absolutely have to notify you and get actual written express approval from you to continue so that you avoid getting charged hourly for like everything, because I've seen law firms do it before. So just be careful of that. With hourly rates, with hourly rate attorneys as well, you're probably going to be paying a retainer somewhere between, I would say, $500, $750, $1,000 is pretty custom to retain services of a lawyer. And so you'll pay that up front and then they will clock hourly. And so if they're $250 an hour, you paid $1,000 retainer. The first 4 hours of work have already been paid for you. And then they just deduct that from your invoice and they'll use the trust amount. Whatever the fee was for the retainer is legally obligated to go into a lawyer's trust account. And then they cannot use that funds until services have been rendered. So as they're clocking 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, then they can move the $1,000 from their trust account that you paid as a retainer over to their actual business operating account. So that's kind of how retainers and hourly fees work. I love flat fee amounts from lawyers, and I think more and more lawyers are actually starting to do this. So you can actually get a flat rate amount that someone is going to charge you as a lawyer to review your contract or to review and modify your contract or to draft you a completely custom contract. They probably have a maximum amount of hours that are included in that flat rate, but oftentimes it's a discounted amount. So if an attorney charges like $250 an hour, maybe they're discounting it if you book at a flat rate package for around $200 an hour, and you're only paying $2,000 for a 10-hour package with a flat rate fee. Some attorneys charge the flat rate up front, and then some attorneys charge like a 50% retainer of that flat rate and 50% upon completion of services. So you just need to check. All in all, to say custom contracts and any custom work done by an attorney is going to be at least double, if not triple, quadruple, 5 times, 10 times what a template contract is going to be. So do you now have questions about the contract that you currently have existing for your clients? And you're like, Paige, I need one-on-one legal support. Or maybe you're looking to have a completely new custom contract created. While I can't answer lots of those types of questions at the legal page, I do have my very own law firm, which is a separate entity from the legal page, and it is called Griffith Law PLLC. It's a virtual law firm specializing in small business law and intellectual property law. We founded our firm in 2019 and have served clients in the online space, including wedding industry professionals, online coaches, nutrition and fitness professionals, influencers, online shops, event venues, conferences, and more. We are super proud to be an all-female-led law firm, and we strive to give our clients the best legal experience possible. So to learn more about working with us one-on-one at Griffith Law, you can visit griffithlawpllc.com. Again, that's griffithlawpllc.com. So be aware of that price difference. I think for many solopreneurs and people who are just starting businesses, they do not have the expendable income to be able to hire an attorney to help them. And that's where I find the beauty in template contracts drafted by attorneys online, because they can help you get like 90% of the way there, 95% of the way there. Template contracts are so valuable in that respect. And why they might not be like perfectly nuanced to your business, they are so close. Like it's close enough, and you can probably modify it to your business policies and practices to the best of your ability. And all of that, like just modifying things yourself, you guys, as long as you're not changing like massive legal language in your contract, you can absolutely modify template contracts yourself. And if you're just adding in business policies and practices, like there's probably no laws surrounding anything about that. People are like, oh, Paige, how do I write that my clients need to, come prepared for the session, or they need to have read, this guide that I'm giving them. How do I put that into a contract? And I'm like, that's how you put it into a contract. Like there's no laws surrounding like how to write that in a contract. So just make sure you're using like the same language in your template contract that's there. If you're modifying it, which is, like client understands and agrees. If that's how it's drafted throughout your contract, that's how you would write that sentence. Company shall versus company will, like kind of look at how the template contract is drafted and use that same language. So those are all things, of course, that like an actual contract attorney is going to catch, because that's what we do day in and day out, is like look at the nuances of like dotting I's and crossing T's and the verbiage and how everything is laid out in a contract and making sure it's consistent throughout. But you can do it yourself too. So, sometimes the budget that you have is just like, you can only do a template contract. But I would always let you know that template contracts are fully deductible. It's professional services that you're paying for your business. Also, legal services are fully deductible. So if you have a decent, if you have some extra income, either in a certain quarter or at the end of the year, I think it's really beneficial to look into hiring an attorney and getting that extra added layer of security that an attorney has looked over your contract, has customized it to the best of their abilities. It's a full write-off for your business to do so. And template contracts usually don't attach attorney-client privilege. So the benefit of having a custom contract is you've got all kinds of malpractice insurance on your side when you hire an actual law firm, because they're actually representing you. When you get a template contract, it's generic, right? Like multiple people can buy that contract, and use that contract, but with a custom contract, it's yours and the attorney works specifically one-on-one with you. So if anything were to occur down the line, usually that attorney will step in and help you. They'll know what, the contract states. If there's a dispute with their client, usually you can easily resolve it just by utilizing the attorney who helped draft the custom contract for you. I think the other big question is, how do you go about finding a lawyer to create a custom contract for you, and what should you look for? So first and foremost, I would suggest that you start on the state level and you kind of look in your local area. You talk to a couple business attorneys or contract attorneys that have written contracts for small business owners. You should set up hopefully a complimentary consultation with the attorney. Most attorneys and law firms allow complimentary consultations. You shouldn't be spending anything more than probably like $150 on a consultation if they do require that. Some do, which is totally fine. And I understand their business practices surrounding it because it's their time and effort to talk with you. And also client conflicts can come up. So if they've told you about something and then they don't hire you, but that same issue comes up with like an opposing party, there's a conflict of interest there and they can't take it on unless there's waivers and like things are signed. So like I understand, but for the most part, you're going to want to set up some consultations and really ensure that the attorney understands what you need. Do they understand your type of business? Do they understand that your marketing and advertising is primarily through social media? Do they understand that you're a videographer and what that means? Do they understand like traveling in your specific service industry? And then if you're an online service provider, like you only do stuff on your computer for clients, whether that's a virtual assistant or a graphic designer or a website designer, or there's so many like people out there that fall under this category. You're an online health coach, like you're a dietitian only online. You're just promoting online courses, like all kinds of different things could occur here if you're just in the online space. I want you to explain that to this potential attorney that you're about to hire and see if they understand what you actually do. It's a red flag if they don't, because they're probably going to miss things to put in your contract because they don't understand anything outside of the brick and mortar world. And to be very honest with you here, I would avoid people that are older in age than you and your industry, just because like attorneys that are in their 50s and 60s, while they may have 20, 30 years of experience on some of us, they also have no idea how we all operate in the online business world right now. So they primarily work with brick and mortar businesses. That's what they've done. That's their bread and butter. And I would avoid those type of attorneys, just, stating it bluntly here. And if you can't find an attorney in your region to help you, there are other attorneys out there that may be doing things virtually at a limited scope capacity where they can, get you about 99% of the way there. And then you should probably just have a local attorney like checkbox, check it off for you. But lots of virtual attorneys now practice multi-jurisdictionally, meaning they practice either across the US or in various states for like contract review and modification purposes, because they are better versed in drafting those contracts than someone in your hometown. And they should know almost everything surrounding your state laws. They should, of course, have access to legal research and be able to research all of those things. And then they probably just have a couple caveats that say like, this is limited in scope, my services. So we suggest that you have another attorney like look it over and just give you the check mark that you're good to go. That's in your state. But sometimes you're better served working with an attorney like that, who is a virtual attorney. They know what they're doing. They're going to give you a better contract than the attorney down the street anyway. So it's a better bang for your buck there. And then the last thing I want to say is if you have a client contract and you've either gotten it as a template contract or a custom contract, there's really no right or wrong way to go about this. I just want to make sure you have a legit contract that's going to protect you. When you start to go beyond your client contract and you start adding on things, I think template contracts are a really great way to go about that, because your client contract's probably going to be the most specific, really like delineated, in-depth contract that you have. And once you get that level completed, everything that falls underneath it in terms of like a cancellation agreement or a contract addendum or a model release contract or a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, all of those, like, I would say secondary contracts that really bulk up your legal toolkit, but that you still need as a business owner for certain situations, those are really good to purchase as template contracts because they're not going to be super specific. There's really no need for them to be, unless, I don't know, like you need an NDA for like a very, 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 very particular purpose. And most of you listening will never need that. I will let you know, like 99.9% of you will never need that. So I would always get those like smaller form contracts as template contracts from an online virtual attorney. It's just way worth it to not spend your money on hourly rates or flat fees from a lawyer that would represent you to do that. I honestly just don't think it's worth the time. So I'm trying to save you some money here. And I would definitely get those type of contracts, template version from an online virtual attorney. And that's what I have for you guys in today's episode. That difference between custom contracts and template contracts is there. It's good to know about the differences in the fees, the timing of receiving them as well. Of course, you're going to get a template contract immediately. You're going to get a custom contract in, a few days, a few weeks. Definitely ask your attorney as well that you're working with, like, what is their turnaround time? A template contract is obviously ready, done for you. You can download it. You can use it right then and there for that specific situation. So that's really helpful. Fee differences, of course, how much is it going to cost? Do you have the budget for it? And then also there's a difference in, do you want something that is absolutely specific to your business, or will kind of a general generic template work for you? If so, then I think a template contract is better suited for you and it's going to be a better bang for your buck. But what I really want you all to know is that more than anything, being a good business owner at any stage of your business is really all about being legally legit and protected at all times. So just because you may have started out with a template contract doesn't mean you need to never look into getting that template contract reviewed by an actual attorney, having it modified and changed to your business practices, which have probably changed and evolved over time as well. So that is why I have my two businesses. That's why I started the legal page, to empower my fellow small business owners with a rock solid foundation through template contracts that are easily accessible, easy downloadable, easy to use, and easy on your budget. And then it's also my mission to extend my services through my law firm, which is Griffith Law PLLC. Myself and my colleague are attorneys. We've worked in the online space. We're extremely well versed in this, and we will create custom contracts just for you. So you have two options here. If you need additional one-on-one help, you can definitely reach out to us at griffithlawpllc.com. And of course, if you need a template contract, please go to thelegalpage.com. We have a search tab. You can search for any and all contracts that you need. We probably have it. We have over, I think we're almost at 300 products in our shop at this point. So definitely check out the Legal Page shop for templates. You can always email me and my team as well at the Legal Page if you have questions, if you need help deciding which template contracts you need. We are here to assist you. And if we don't have a template contract that you need, you can always reach out to us and see if we'll create one for you. And if there's a need out there that multiple people may need a template contract for the situation that you are presenting to us, we may actually just create a template contract. So you wouldn't have to get a custom contract in that situation. But that's it for this episode. I will talk to y'all next week.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Legal Page podcast. See, I told you being legally legit isn't so scary. Be sure to visit thelegalpage.com for all show notes. And it would be super awesome if you could head over to iTunes and leave a review. Last but not least, don't forget to join my free Facebook group for unlimited legal and biz Q&A. Chat soon, Legal Pagers.